Well, thank you everyone for showing up here for our Power Users webinar. Today we're going to have a brief one with our writing path, and one of our goals of doing these webinars is maybe to remind you of areas and features of Kurzweil that are sometimes forgotten, and just giving a nice brief overview of, in this instance, how to use our writing path might prompt you to remind students that there's a lot of depth to Kurzweil beyond just text to speech. So with that introduction, I'd like to introduce Carol, who will show our screen. Carol's been with Kurzweil for just about 10 years as an account executive. And I'll hand it over to you, Carol.
Okay, welcome everybody. And this is going to be fun showing you the writing path. One of the things that I've discovered is that people are hesitant a lot of times to get to the writing because they're overwhelmed with all the information. They've read all these books or passages, chapters, and now a lot of them are going to be tested on how can they interpret what they learn. And that's usually done at the higher ed level with essays or writing. So I'm going to show you some things that will help your students adapt to the writing process a lot quicker. I'm going to share my screen. Where I'm at is Kurzweil3000.com.
We can see it now, Carol.
Okay, good. I don't know what happened there. There was a delay. Anyway, I'm in Kurzweil3000.com. The way to initiate it is first you have to go to I'm going to choose my name and pick where you're going to store it. If you look over here at the menu, the tabs are grayed out. So in order to initiate it, I'll see I'm going to put it in my public folder. And now you can see that the right tab has a drop-down menu. You can start with a brainstorm, an outline, new draft. One of the nice things that I'm going to show you here, you can start and create your own outlines, your own drafts, or you can go over here to the Universal Library, scroll all the way down. Software comes with templates. So there are templates available where the students can have ideas of how to get started. Sometimes just that little boost will help them become better writers. And there's several templates here. Hit the blue icon with the little staple on it, paperclip rather. And I have 3 areas: higher ed brainstorm, K-12. We'll go to the higher ed brainstorms. You see over here on my right, several examples of types of college level writing that students will be required to do pop up. And we can take a look at them. And you can say, well, let's take a look at a critical review. You click on it and it brings it into the Kurzweil 3000, the website. And you can see that you have now a visual organizer, which is very nice and handy. And it has organization already for them. And also there's little prompts. If you hit the little papers, it'll let them know what they're being asked to do. So this is helpful for a lot of students. And then they just type right into the box, say this would be their title of their paper, and then they could fill in understanding the assignment, all the different things that would help them get organized. When they're finished with this, and they don't have to do it in any unique order, so some students struggle with that. Over here on the blue ribbon, you're going to see a paper, notebook paper with an eyeball on it. You click on that, and it brings up the brainstorm outline split screen. What they've typed can now be sent over to a traditional outline if that makes more sense for them. So it's everything that was in the template, but now it's in traditional outline form. And you can start typing in here. They can also use other tools. If you notice, we have our spell check and our word predictor. So if there's a word that they're having trouble with, or they're just in a hurry, you can just go ahead and type, say you're starting a psychology paper. I'm just going to use this as an example. So I would engage my word predictor first and then start. Now you notice over here on the far right, the word predictor tool brought up some choices for me. I can have these read aloud so that I'm getting the right word. So I'm looking for psychology and I'm going to listen to it.
Psychologist. Psychology.
That's the one I want. So I double click, click on it, and it takes it right to the writing paper. Then the other view is the split screen. So they've done all the writing, they've taken their notes here, and now they're going to start their draft. So they can type paper on this side. They can also use the text to speech. I'm sorry, the speech to text, so they can dictate their paper. All they need to do is put their cursor where they want to start, engage this little white bubble in the blue ribbon, and it has the 3 little blue dots in it. You click on it, it's going to turn green, and it's going to ask them if they can enable the microphone. They say yes, they click on it and just start dictating the paper. This paper is going to be on psychology and its authors. And then just disengage it when you're finished. So they've got the brainstorm template, they can go to the outline, they go to the split screen, and now we're ready to turn it in. So we're going to go to the draft. And the nice thing about the draft side is you can have this read aloud so that they can hear the paper before they turn it in. And if they're using some words more, like maybe psychology was used 5 or 6 times in the paper, or authors, you can go over here to the references. It's this little book in the blue ribbon. And you've got a dictionary available to assist with the writing process, picture dictionary, and a synonym tool. So if I've used paper too many times, I can click on paper, go to my reference, hit synonym, and some other words come up, similar words, so that I can now edit my paper, and my grammar is growing, my knowledge of words is growing. So as a student that's starting out and having trouble writing, this is really helpful for them. It's going to relieve a lot of that anxiety for, oh, where do I start? How do I do this paper? And they can have it read back, edit it, and then turn it in. When they're done, they can save the document. So they click here, save document as, and it brings up these different file types. And then they just choose where they want to save it, the folder. I'm going to cancel for now. And now when they're ready to go back to their paper, maybe they're not finished, they can keep coming back to it in the Universal Library because they've just designated a folder where they're going to save that. So that's how they do the writing path. It's a nice, simple way, easy steps, 3 steps, 4 steps for the student to turn in a paper that they've been aggravating over, because that happens a lot. A lot of times we save it for the last minute, and it's not our best work because of lack of organization, not knowing where to start. So do use those templates. Again, they're located in the Universal Library. All students have it. You just have to click all the way down to templates here. The blue on the left-hand side, their drop-down menu. And again, you have so many different varieties of persuasive speech. Lots of templates, graphic organizers, very helpful. That's the writing path with Kurzweil3000.com. Any questions or thoughts?
Thanks, Carol. I talked to Carol, and when she demonstrates, I always forgot to show the templates, and people love the templates, and she always showed them.
Love them.
And so if you could stop sharing your screen while.
Real quick, if I can, Corey.
Yes.
One thing that Carol didn't mention, when you first open the template, it gave you that pop-up window saying, hey, this is the master copy. You need to make sure that when you first go into the templates, you can check it and then you copy it to your folder, and then it becomes your personal copy. And then you can make all the changes and you can save it. If you try doing that to the master copy, it won't let you save them.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Callis.
One area I was going to quickly show, because one of the areas when I was a rep that got a lot of positive feedback from the field was with reluctant writers, which if they're reluctant in high school, you're likely getting them as reluctant writers in higher ed. So I love the quick takes. So I've already chosen a folder where I'm going to save my brainstorm. This is one area where alt media specialists, if they're demonstrating Kurzweil, they like to show this as well. Just this lightning bolt. So the main idea of whatever the topic of their essay is going to be, you hit quick takes, and then you can say, here's my first idea. Here's my second idea. And then you can quickly show how their ideas start to build into an outline, split the screen just like Carol had shown, and then you can start typing. When I go over here to the blue ribbon on the disk, We should really change that from a floppy disk. That seems to be, you're a certain age group that knows what that stands for, but you can now save as, and then it'll show you your universal library and where you can save that. And instead of just calling it untitled, I might say that is my history essay. And then I can save that as a doc, or in this case, it's a KEDS file. So I just wanted to show that and ask the group in general if there is, if somebody is brave enough to say if they use the writing path, what really gets students' attention. Since we had a nice short meeting here today.
Corey, I'm just going to unmute myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Cammie Griffith, also from Kurzweil. Carol, very nice job. I was just going to say I hear feedback a lot that the writing templates are helpful for any student that may have a difficult time with executive functioning type skills. So for a student that has a hard time getting their thoughts down, these writing templates may help them to organize their thoughts and at least get them down on paper, or in this situation within Kurzweil. So I hear the word executive functioning support often when I show the writing templates.
Wonderful.
Annie Knox has asked the question, what's the feedback from graduate students? And I will just tell you real briefly my feedback when I was a rep, particularly strong feedback from those who were receiving an advanced degree, a legal degree, in terms of getting some of the templates used for writing briefs. They really liked that. And then also having their reading read back to them, which there's a variety of tools that can accomplish that. But when you're already using Kurzweil, they found it as a nice add-on, so they're not using multiple tools. I've got a document, copy, paste it into Kurzweil, has it read aloud to me. That I've gotten very positive feedback on that as well. I don't know if any of you Kurzweil people that are on the call have similar feedback with graduate students.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I was going to add, and Corey, your comment made me just think of it, is as an instructor, if these align with what you're thinking, but you'd like to change them, all of these can be modified. And so
Yes.
these aligned well with, again, what you were thinking a great writing template might look like, but it didn't match perfectly. You can edit any of these.
I was going to comment, I actually use this tool with my son. One of the challenges he has is not the writing, but the starting of the sentence and the starting of the thought. Once he gets going, he's fine. So I used a graphic organizer with him on an assignment where he had to write a whole choose your own adventure story. We started each idea in the graphic organizer, because then once he had that in his head, he was able to go and put in the details. And then also the floating word list, if you have the installed version of the software, has like transition words, homonyms, commonly confused words, different things like that. And that was also really helpful for him to see, how do I go from idea 1 to idea 2? And so there's a lot of different ways you can apply these ideas. If you look at what that individual needs and thinks, how do I tweak this just a little bit? And it became a very, very valuable tool for my son to get that assignment completed.
Callis, that was a great how the installed version operates differently at times because of years of development, that if you wanted a more in-depth, you wanted to engage with the Kurzweil writing tool at a depth that we didn't display here, contact one of your reps, if you who your rep is, and they'll take you through it as much time as you need on that.
Also, just a thought, I was just in a meeting this morning and the lady asked about homonyms or homophones. In the installed version, the word prediction will highlight anytime you're typing a homophone. And Carol showed how you can click on it and listen to it. In the installed version, it will also give you an example and a definition of the homophone to make sure they're using the right there, or there. So it does go even a little deeper, as Corey said. So
what we wanted to do today was give you just a reminder. Don't forget to show your students this, because it's going to really help them. I've heard good things from students that it actually is fun. It's colorful, they say, and they can, think about some stuff and leave it and come back to it. So writing doesn't have to be that big chore that it always is for people. You can make it fun, like Callis was saying, and creative.
Yeah, there's areas that we've we've added too much development to in Kurzweil, making hurting the goal of making something simple. The writing path is one that we've kept the whole brainstorm to outline, split the screen, right. We've kept that intentionally very simple because not having pictures or importing pictures and doing the whole mind mapping, let other companies that's the only thing they do. They can do that. I have trouble getting started. Here's some help. Everything is read aloud to me. And it's sort of nice. It's a nice thing. We decided not to encumber with too much depth.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple so
I
people will
think-
use it.
I think
Yes.
there's a question that came in from Adaro. And Adaro, if your university has a subscription to Kurzweil, then yes, they can also access the installed version of the software.
Correct. Yeah, there's no add-ons in Kurzweil. Once you get the subscription, you have everything.
Mhm.
Goal of maybe this is the time of year where you can go. We use Kurzweil for its text to speech.
Someone else had a question, idea of how to better train students. I do go over writing briefly, but now I see how I can do more.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, somebody made a comment about AI in writing, and wow, I'm
Wow.
sure that we've even beginning discussions. How do we integrate certain parts of AI within Kurzweil so that maybe you had a PDF and there's chat PDF that many of you are aware of, and you can have a few pages outlined for you. And so we talk about that and kind of taken the weight and see what you decide would be helpful instead of just assisting the students getting information that maybe they didn't have to struggle to get. So we are thinking about that.
We also have a question from Tony Ferrari. Are there things that you can do in the desktop version that you cannot do in the web
suppose
version
that's
of
possible.
writing? The major tools in the desktop that are not available in the
It's very
web
possible.
version are the floating word list, where you can types of words that the person needs to work on, emotion words, transition words, different things like that. There's quite a few of them. And then the other is the difference in the word prediction that I mentioned earlier, how it will show you the homophones. Aside from that, I think they work quite similarly. Those are the two biggest differences that I can think of.
There's also the bibliography tool.
Sorry, Callis, what was the second one you mentioned?
Floating word lists.
Yeah, and the second
And
one,
then the spell check function with the homophones.
oh, yes, and then Carol mentioned the bibliography. Yeah, so there are
And then
three
the
differences
bibliography.
there.
So yes.
Mhm, mhm.
But there's also the ability to train your word prediction in the desktop version based on reading that you have open.
Well, the way our word prediction works is it's a first letter. So, if I type in A, it'll start bringing up the most common A words. And then as I add more letters, it'll bring those up based on what I'm typing spelling wise. But then also it's most frequently used. So if, like in Carol's example, she had psychologist and it brought up psychology and a few others. If I always picked psychologist, it would eventually jump that to the top of the list. So it does customize it. And then, as mentioned, I have the ability in the installed version to add, when I open a book, it will look for words that are not in the dictionary or not in the word prediction, and it will add those to those lists. So if you have students using text with very specific jargon or very specific technical words or something, the installed version can add those. It's a setting to your word prediction and your spell check. So that is a good distinction. Whoever mentioned that, thank you.
Thanks, Callis. I think Valerie asked, will there be an app version for Kurzweil? I can answer it unless someone else wants to. I'll just go ahead and answer it. So what Carol showed Valerie is the browser version of Kurzweil, and that will run and function on any device from any browser. So that's an option. But to answer your question specifically, there was an app, an iPad app that was discontinued, I think, due to usage. But again, the browser version that Carol
Right.
showed will run and function on any device from any location. So that's Kurzweil3000.com.
Well, thanks everyone. Are there any writing tools? Another question from Tony. Are there any writing tools for the Kurzweil Chrome extension aside from the ability to create highlights? In terms of note-taking tools, I think Tony might be asking, can you do more than just highlight text? You can add notes to the text by the add a note feature, add a voice note feature where you would add a voice note and then you can record your voice, or an instructor could include instructions for that part of the text.
He
Think-
specifically asked in the Chrome extension.
Okay. Thank you, Gallus. No, you can, no, the highlights are where we're at right now with the Chrome extension. Read the web.
A recent change was made in the browser extension that if you are writing in a textbook, like you're taking a test in Moodle or something, and they write the answer right there, the Chrome extension can now go in and read the answers that they've typed so that they can basically, double check their writing, but it doesn't have a specific writing tool, just like a proofread.
Well, great. Thanks, everybody. Hope you're having a enjoyable summer. We were thinking about taking July off, but maybe we'll just keep going with them. And if there's fewer people, there's fewer people. Next month was going to be looking at it from the alt media standpoint of zone editing, how to prepare a text. People do that at varying degrees depending on their staffing, but
Right.
it would be another tool that some people teach their students how to use. If something isn't reading very well, how a student can make those corrections, or from the disability services alt media specialists, how you can make those corrections. Have a
Okay.
great week, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you all for attending. Enjoy.
Thank